Kandamandalakaram yaptam yena characharam Tadvanam darshitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Agnanati mirandasya jnana shalakaya Chakshurum militam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Stavaram Jangamam Vyakam Yat Kinchit Sacharacharam Tatpadam Dashitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Bhavachi Vyaptiyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Sarvashruti Shiroragna Virajika Padam Pujaha Vedandam Pujazuyoyam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Chaitanya Shashvata Shanto Yomatito Niranjanaha Indunada Kalatita Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Jnana Shakti Samaruda Tattvamala Vibhushita Bhukti Mukti Pradata Cha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Aneka Janma Samprapta Karma Bandha Vidayine Atmajnana Pradhanena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shoshanam Bhava Sindosha Yapanam Sara Samparaha Guru Padodakam Samyak Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Naduro Radhikam Tattvam Naduro Radhikam Tapaha Tatmajnanat Param Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Manata Shri Jagannatha Adguru Shri Jagadguru Mahatma Sarvabhutatma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Guru Radhiranadisha Guru Paramadevatam Guru Parataram Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Padrushta Saka Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Davinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Padrushta Saka Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Davinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Jai Gurudeva Namo Namah Shri Vishwananda Namo Namah Premavatara Namo Namah Sadgurudeva Namo Namah Shri Marudeva Namo Namah Shri Vishwananda Namo Namah Premavatara Namo Namah Sadgurudeva Namo Namah Jai Gurudeva Namo Namah Shri Vishwananda Namo Namah Premavatara Namo Namah Sadgurudeva Premavatara Namo Namah Sadguru Deva Namo Namah Jai Guru Deva Namo Namah Shri Vishwananda Namo Namah Premavatara Namo Namah Sadguru Deva Namo Namah Jai Guru Deva Namo Namah Shri Vishwananda Namo Namah Premavatara Namo Namah Sadguru Deva Namo Namah Jai Guru Deva Namo Namah Shri Vishwananda Namo Namah Premavatara Namo Namah Sadguru Deva Namo Namah Jai Guru Deva Namo Namah Shri Vishwananda Namo Namah Premavatara Namo Namah Sadguru Deva Namo Namah Jai Guru Deva Namo Namah Shri Vishwananda Namo Namah Premavatara Namo Namah Sadguru Deva Namo Namah Jai Guru Deva Namo Namah Shri Vishwananda Namo Namah Premavatara Namo Namah Sadguru Deva Namo Namah Jai Guru Deva Namo Namah Shri Vishwananda Namo Namah Premavatara Namo Namah Sadguru Deva Namo Namah Jai Guru Deva Namo Namah Shri Vishwananda Namo Namah Premavatara Namo Namah Sadguru Deva Namo Namah Jai Guru Deva Namo Namah Shri Vishwananda Namo Namah Premavatara Namo Namah Sadguru Deva Namo Namah Jai Guru Deva Namo Namah Shri Vishwananda Namo Namah Premavatara Namo Namah Sadguru Deva Namo Namah Jai Guru Jai Guru Jai Guru Jai 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 Om Avatar Shishaya Namaha Om Vishamaya Namaha Om Devakarya Samudyataya Namaha Om Sukshmatanave Namaha Om Chinmayaya Namaha Om Gurumurtaye Namaha Om Sundaraya Namaha Om Surochanaya Namaha Om Sumukhaya Namaha Om Charuhasaya Namaha Om Keshavaya Namaha Om Padmambujaya Namaha Om Madagamanaya Namaha Om Charubharadharine Namaha Om Ramaya Namaha Om Mandirastapakaya Namaha Om Shri Babachakaya Namaha Om Gayatri Ajvane Namaha Om Arpanasvikarakaya Namaha Om Vishnu Pujakaya Namaha Om Namo Narayaneti Mantropasakaya Namaha Om Swaramayaya Namaha Om Madhurakantaya Namaha Om Krishna Sankirtana Lulupaya Namaha Om Stotra Priyaya Namaha, Om Itavashine Namaha, Om Vagmine Namaha, Om Chitrakala Visharadaya Namaha, Om Ratadharaya Namaha, Om Sarave Namaha, Om Jagatpantaya Namaha, Om Sarvalokahitaya Namaha, Om Bhaktapriyaya Namaha, Om Surdaya Namaha, Om Anukulaya Namaha, Om Neyaya Namaha, Om Sudarshanaya Namaha, Om Bhaktavatsalaya Namaha, Om Premamurtaye Namaha, Om Shubhekshanaya Namaha, Om Pritivardhanaya Namaha, Om Swastidayakaya Namaha, Om Tarakaya Namaha, Om Anugrahaya Namaha, Om Vardhanaya Namaha, Om Architaya Namaha, Om Artaya Namaha, Om Siddhipradaya Namaha, Om Janardhanaya Namaha, Om Manoharaya Namaha, Om Mahakshaya Namaha, Om Siddheshwaraya Namaha, Om Bhasmabhushitaya Namaha, Om Atmalingaya Namaha, Om Lingakshana Protsakaya Namaha, Om Siddhi Sadanaya Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha, Om Omkarapasakaya Namaha, Om Sukshmaya Namaha, Om Vishokaya Namaha, Om Satvikaya Namaha, Om Samadarshine Namaha, Om Dakshaya Namaha, Om Achintyaya Namaha, Om Nirankaraya Namaha, Om Nirmohaya Namaha, Om Avyagraya Namaha, Om Chitakrodaya Namaha, Om Vinayashilaya Namaha, Om Svavashaya Namaha, Om Kushalaya Namaha, Om Shamaya Namaha, Om Satyadharmaya Namaha, Om Nirvikalpaya Namaha, Om Niraktaya Namaha, Om Atindraya Namaha, Om Satyasandaya Namaha, Om Pavitraya Namaha, Om Madhura Swabhavaya Namaha, Om Suranandaya Namaha, Om Nandanaya Namaha, Om Prasanatmane Namaha, Om Bhaktanidhaye Namaha, Om Sakshaye Namaha, Om Samatmaye Namaha, Om Sadayogine Namaha, Om Haraye Namaha, Om Sutapaye Namaha, Om Samyaya Namaha, Om Guyaya Namaha, Om Vimuktatmaye Namaha, Om Gabhiraya Namaha, Om Guptaya Namaha, Om Atmaramaya Namaha, Om Srinivasaya Namaha, Om Devaya Namaha, Om Yutidharaya Namaha, Om Dhanyaya Namaha, Om Gurave Namaha, Om Guratikramaya Namaha, Om Gahanaya Namaha, Om Bhagavate Namaha, Om Harisharana Margadarshakaya Namaha, Om Kutastha Jagatakaya Namaha, Om Abhiprayaya Namaha, Om Sarvamata Samatyaya Namaha, Om Kshamakata Bhavavarakaya Namaha, Om Premavatara Sri Vishwananda Swami Namaha. Hato Deva Avantuno Yato Vishnu Vichakrame Prithivya Sapta Dhamabhihi Idam Vishnu Vichakrame Tredhani Tade Padam Samudamasya Pagum Sure Trini Pada Vichakrame Vishnu Gopa Ada Abhyaha Ato Dharmani Dharyane Vishnu Karmani Pashyatayato Vritani Paspashe Indrasya Yujasaka Tad Vishnu Paramam Paragum Sada Pashanti Suryaha Diva Chakshuratatam Tad Vipraso Vipanyavo Jagruvagum Sasamindate Vishnu Yat Paramam Padam. Premavattaraya vidmahe Sadgurudevaya dhimahi Tanno Vishwananda prachodayate. Om Premavattaraya vidmahe Sadgurudevaya dhimahi Tanno Vishwananda prachodayate. Om Premavattaraya vidmahe Sadgurudevaya dhimahi Tanno Vishwananda prachodayate. Puna. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvinam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Shri Krishna Vishnu Madhusudana Ketapare Narayana Achyuta Vikrama Chakrapane Deityadi Sajadhara Sridhara Vasudeva Gopala Krishna Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Rukmini Shabhavana Sharade Murare Gadesha Gopesha Swarupa Brahmadi Vandya Shri Varadashraya Vaikuntha Pate Bhuvaneka Murte Gopala Deva Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Nakrute Kamatarupa Varaha Murte Te Vikramaya Gunane Vrudarama Rama Shri Rama Krishna Yadunandana Kalki Rupa Gopala Krishna Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Govinda Madhava Mukunda Parat Paresha Damodara Jadharananda Kadhari Shori Gopa Gopi Jana Samvrita Dina Bandho Gopi Jana Priya Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Kshiratishaya Bhujagali Patavashaye Sarvakta Sadanashaya Ramangashaye Shri Gopavama Mrudarka Sukhadishaye Gopa Vallabhaye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Kashyapati Sukhanarada Gotamadi Brahmarshi Sangamani Sangava Bharatesho Ishtanti Deva Tava Darshana Bhagya Heto Gopala Sekaraye Tava Suprabhatam Mandara Jari Tulasi Dala Malikaryahe Malyani Anjali Kute Samudaharanti Tishtanti Patpavatatara Tale Murindraha Radha Manoharaye Tava Suprabhatam Vedatrayam Patati Gautamaka Guryaha Gayanti Satguna Gano Varada Savargaha Sankirtayanti Davanama Kadadisheshaha Shri Naradani Rishaya Tava Suprabhatam Govardhanodharana Gopa Kishora Gopa Gomritanamrita Suresha Bhavati Bhota Trilokya Mohana Sumangala Divya Deha Shri Rukminisha Varada Tava Suprabhatam Shri Vatsachina Shagalagata Parijata Bhakti Bandhana Kripakaya Dina Bandho Dityanta Gayati Jana Priyati Jarupa Shri Nanda Gopatanaya Tava Suprabhatam Padmaksha Padma Mukha Padma Dhara Prameya Padmalaya Shrahida Padma Nivasa Shori Padmodbhavani Surasevita Pada Padma Padmadinata Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Vrindatale Viharanaya Mahendra Vandya Kandarpa Haradinya Sudesha Rupa Chandrananaya Siddha Chandana Lipta Deha Govinda Yadavaye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Nanda Nandana Yashoda Kumara Dhira Mayanga Dina Dagichona Supushpahara Nilam Buddha Susharira Rama Vihara Gopala Deva Haraye Tava Suprabhata Shri Vashti Jambavati Satya Suganti Bhadra Shri Vitra Vida Divasa Prabhu Murta Kadyahe Trishanti Devya Bhavameta Vasevanada Gopi Manapriya Haraye Tava Suprabhata Shri Krishna Achyuta Ananta Mukunda Shori Radha Manohara Janardana Chakrapane Namani Divya Punayona Nisham Vadanti Rami Murta Samaye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Krishna Suprabhatam Ye Patanti Ahanisham Bhuri Kritan Mahapapan Shri Krishna Grahetukam. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Chintamani Prakara Satma Sukalpa Vriksha Lakshavrteshu Surabhira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasrashata Sambrama Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Vedam Kvamantamaravinyadalaya Taksha Bharavataksha Madhadam Buddha Sundaranga Gandharva Gotika Maniya Vishesha Shobha Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chandra Kala Sattva Vamshi Ratnangadam Pranaya Keli Kala Vilasam Shamam Tribangalalitam Niyata Prakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Agadiyasya Sakalendriya Vittimanti Paishanti Panti Kalayanti Chirantaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrahasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Advaita Manchudamanadi Manantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhaktam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Pantastu Koti Shadavatsara Sampraganyo Vayoratapi Manaso Munipungamana Sobhyasti Yatrapada Simnya Vashintya Dalve Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ekopya Saura Chayitum Jagadanda Kotin Yashchakti Rasti Jagadanda Chayaya Dantaha Andantarasta Paramanu Chayatarastam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yad Bhava Bhavika Diyo Manujasta Deva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayana Bhusha Sukteya Meva Nigama Pravitestu Vanti Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Ananda Chinmaya Rasat Pratibhavitabis Tabirya Eva Nijarupataya Kalavihi Goloka Eva Nivasatya Kilatma Bhuto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Premanjanachurita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Saleva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yanshama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupa Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Ramadi Murti Shukalani Amena Tishtan Nanavatara Makarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Svayam Samabhavat Paramapumanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadanta Koti Kodishvashesha Vasujari Vibhuti Pina Tatra Adishkalamanantam Ashesha Bhutam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Maya hi yasya jagadanda shatani sute Tregunyatad vishaya veda vidayamana Sattva valambi parasattva vishura sattvam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Ayanta Chinmaya Rasatmataya Manashu Ya Pradinam Pratiphalam Svaratam Upeya Nirayikena Bhuvanani Jayati Jatra Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Golokanam Nijadham Nitale Jatasya Devi Mahesha Haridhama Suteshu Teshu Tete Prabhava Nichaya Vihitas Jayena Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Shishti Shishti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga Vijana Rupamapi Yasya Chacheshtate Sa Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Kshiram Yatadadi Vikara Vishesha Yogat Sanjayate Nahitata Prathakasti Hetoho Yaksham Bhutamapi Tatha Samupaiti Karyat Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Dirvakshireva Hita Shantaramabhyupeya Jivayate Vidha Hetu Samana Dharma Yastadrigeva Hicha Vishnutaya Vivati Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yakaranavala Jale Bhajati Sma Yoga Nidram Ananta Jagadanda Saroma Kupaha Adhara Shakti Mavalam Yaparam Svamurtim Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yasreka Nishvasita Kala Matavalandya Jivanti Lo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Bhasvanja Chashma Shakaleshu Nijeshu Tejaha Sviyam Kiyat Prakatayatyapitatvadatra Brahmaya Esha Jagadanda Vidhana Karta Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yat Parapallava Yugam Dinidaya Kumbha Kanve Pranaya Samaye Saganadi Raja Dinam Dihantamanadasya Jagatrayasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Agnir Mahi Ganganam Ambu Marudishascha Kalastatatma Manasiti Jagatrayani Yasmat Bhavanti Vibhavanti Vishanti Amcha Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yachakshuresa Savita Sakalagamana Rajasamasta Suramurti Rashesha Tejaha Yasyajnaya Pramati Samvritakara Chakro Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Dharmo Dhapa Nichayat Shrutayastapamsi Brahmadikita Prakatavayascha Jivaha Yadatamatra Vibhava Prakata Prabhava Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yasvinda Lopamata Vendra Mahosa Karma Pandana Rupa Palabhajamanata Nodi Karmani Nahani Kintu Sabhakti Bhaja Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yam Krodha Karma Sahaja Pranayadi Viti Vatsalya Moha Guru Gaurava Sevya Bhavahe Sanchitya Dasya Sadashim Tanama Purete Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadhiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karana Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Om Ajnanaatimirandhasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha. Jigudev, good morning. Today it's Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 21, verse 20. And it goes, Evam vidha bhagavato ya vrindavacharinaha varnyaryantyo mito gopya kridashta mayatam yayu. Which means, those narrating to one another the playful pastimes of the Krishna as he wandered about in the Vrindavan forest, the gopis became fully absorbed in thoughts of him. So I was just reading yesterday Bhagavatam, and I have to say that maybe even a year ago, gopis were very unrelatable for me. I just thought this is just some Matajis in their static behavior. It's just, yeah, not very relatable if you're a guy and you don't have a static behavior. So, but the more I went into, the more I'm realizing what does it really mean, because Guruji is constantly praising them, no, and it has to be a reason. So the more I read the verses about them, the more I realize that the greatness of them, of one of the greatness of them, was that they were able to have Krishna even if he was not with them. So I think that every devotee is, I think the worst feeling for every devotee is that we feel distance, or we feel distance from God, or we feel distance from Tulsi, Guruji. Is the worst feeling. Like this is where we are not ourselves. And I experienced this distance even though living here many times on different occasions, but I also experienced that this distance becomes, or what to do to this distance become closeness, really. Because if you might notice, I'm sure most of you know, but Guruji is tweeting, and for me it's just fascinating what he does with his tweets, because he's making himself available, or his thoughts, his feeling available for everybody. It's not just for people who are sitting at the table that he expresses, but he expresses to everybody. So that makes him very relatable, and we can see his point of view, which allows us to basically build relationship with him. And funny enough, for me, the biggest steps which I did towards him in terms of relationship is when he was not here. I remember in 2022, he was in Mauritius for a long time, in India, and at some point I just noticed that I'm so busy with my day, because life in ashram is busy, life as a devotee is busy, that I just don't take time for him. I just do my kriya, one round, second one, sleep. Yeah, that was my life, because I was just so busy. And then I decided I'm gonna do something about it. I really need to stop feeling this distance from him. So what I did is I took from 5 to 6, I went on a japa walk while listening his satsangs, because that's what he said. He said in one of the satsangs was, and also if you listen his satsangs and tweets, you will see that he's constantly just giving in between the lines. So once he said, if you really want to transform, listen to my satsang. That's the only thing required that transformation happened. So I decided to do both. So I went to listen to his satsang and then the japa. And what happened from this simple practice was that I became to be with him much more than I was in the past, even living in the ashram. So that means that if I was able to spend time with him, even 5, 10, 15 minutes, and then it's just growth, like this relationship started to grow, I became much more familiar with him in a sense. So that means when he came back, all this fear of him, basically, and all this uncomfortableness just disappeared, because I spent enough time with him inside that I was familiar enough with him on the outside. So I just stopped being awkward and just start to I was able to have normal conversation with him also on the outside, because it was not, I didn't have so much fear. Like it was just, I was familiar with somebody, because that's how we actually build relationship. We become familiar, we spend time with the person. And not many of us can spend time with him physically. And I think that's by design, because the relationship which really matters is inside. And it's undeniable. At that, I think that we came to this point when he really shows this to us. And I think that many people are pushed away with the reason, because then you're almost forced to find him inside, because you don't have any choice, and he loves when we don't have any choice. So in one satsang very recently, in around 2 months ago, he said, if you can spend 2 hours with God and Guru, you will achieve everything. And then he said, but 2 hours without being bored. So for me, it was very revolutionary statement, because that's the adage that he gives. And we have to be careful not to miss this pearls, because as Padmavati likes to say always, she's saying that this is the when we do these things, then we also receive the blessing. And we can miss it easily, because these things are not published on BM Today. There is not big campaign around, Guruji said this, do this, an academy platform with the big ladders. But if you just listen enough, he's saying these things constantly. And once we do it, even if it's a small thing, like he gave meditation in Mauritius, and he said, just wake up and do this for 1 minute. And if we do it, there is a certain blessing, and I experienced this. Once we are able to do this and really catch what he's saying and then do it, there is a certain blessing. And this blessing is nothing else that he brings you just closer to him. So it's very important to listen his satsang. And second, because once we listen to him or his satsang, he has ability to speak directly to a heart. So that's why he can manage our feelings and our heart in the right direction, because essentially we don't do things which we have to do because we don't feel to do it. I was speaking with some of the people, and I asked them, Slovenian people, and I asked them, they told me they don't do japa, and I asked them why. And they say, I don't know. And I said, so you know what's the mantra? You have japa mala? And they say, yes. I said, so you don't do it because you don't feel like it. And that's why we don't do stuff. And we do things because we feel like it. So once we listen Guruji's satsangs, he's adjusting our feeling. I experienced this also many times. Like he's taking his divine screwdriver and adjust our heart in a sense and our feelings in a sense that we do feel like doing japa. We do feel like doing kriya, because there's a difference if we do it because we have to or because we want to. The quality is completely different. So basically what happens when we really start to be with him inside is that we become more familiar with him, and then also all the fear and all awkwardness, uncomfortableness on the outside also disappears eventually. And second is that we don't do it because we need to, but because we want to. And when we start to do sadhana with this mindset, I believe that then it changes everything. Like first you have to force it and stuff, but eventually I think, or I believe we have to come to a point when we just want to do it. Because it's not that somebody is forcing us. He's a type of guru who does not force. He gives us instructions and then he sends us to a playground. And then he observes. He's always there, but we all have all the freedom to play with whatever we want in this playground. So one of the samskaras of why, which I notice in myself and in many people, why we don't do things, or why we do it because we have to, not because we want to, is because how do we see God? Because we are reading scriptures, and we read the passage which He's transcendental, beyond everything. Yeah, it's not very much. That's not very relatable. It's true, but it's still. If we see God like this, it becomes very impersonal. Even gopis didn't see Him like this. They see Him like as Krishna. It was just around. Yeah, they knew that He was all this, but they were not, oh my God, you're some transcendental being beyond everything. Yeah, that's we cannot build relationship with this. If we think, okay, God is just this, then I don't believe we can. And that's why Guruji, for example, he tweets, no? And one of the tweets, he said, just a part of it, how many times do we say that the Guru is testing us? We are going through process. He's ignoring us and so on. How deeply sad are these statements, and how badly it must hurt the heart of beloved Guru. We all said this constantly. And I think we really have to stop, like including myself, because it's so. What he's essentially saying is when I hear this, it makes me sad. And if we see God, if we see Guru as some transcendental beyond everything, we will have very dismissive behavior. We will say, yeah, he's just playing. He's in ever bliss. He never feels sad. Yeah, and I see this, I noticed in myself, I was doing this for years, and I was thinking, yeah, he's not really sad. He's not really, like he's beyond this, which is true. But at the same time, it's not, because if he's saying it, we cannot just dismiss his feelings. We cannot just say, no, it's not true, you're not really sad. You're just doing this because whatever reason. We cannot really build relationship with him. We will not be able to. That's why that's the whole purpose of personal God, to really see. And he's saying, it makes me sad. It makes me sad when you say this, because what we see is not his love, but we see our mindset is, or in our heart, we don't say it outside because we are smart enough, but in our heart, in this mindset, we said, he is putting me through something. And I think that with this tweet, it was revolutionary also, because he said, it's not right what you do, because then you see me somebody who just, you start to build resentment. You don't start to build love. But if we see the situation as you're going through something because of his love, because that's actually is love, so we just change perspective on this, which what he says in this tweet is different. And I noticed myself when I stop to consciously say these things or even think these things, it really changed something, because then he's not some strict guru who is putting you through some processes because you have to burn all your karma. Yeah, he becomes somebody who is just loving you, and that's why he's putting you through this. And second thing, what I notice is the more time you spend with him inside, the more of these processes start, because then he's eager to spend quality time. And I noticed that, especially in the last year, the more I'm able to be with him, like when in a very intimate relationship, inside, the most craziest things start to happen on the outside, like unbelievable. Because it's just, he's so, and I see it now, and this tweet was very eye-opening for me, because I saw it that he's just so eager that he makes this time when we are able to spend with him quality time. And the more we get through these things, the more quality time we can spend. So that's why he has to do this. And it's, if we see it as a love, is from this mindset, gratitude emerges. No, Sahadev was saying a couple of days ago about gratitude. So this is the mindset where can really gratitude emerges, because we cannot be grateful if we think of him as somebody who is transcendental, beyond everything being, who is just never sad, he's always in bliss, he's sitting somewhere there. Yeah, it's true, but at the same time, it's not beneficial for us. That's why he comes down in the form of Guru, who is very relatable. He expresses his feelings. He makes himself available for everybody. I see, like, if you observe Guruji in the last year or so, he gives himself more and more. He allows us to know him more and more. How is it from his perspective? How does he feel? It's not just about us. He knows how we feel. And he's doing this because he's becoming much more relatable, because in this case, we can really build relationship with him. And if we see him somebody as he's just putting out through the process, putting us through stuff, it's also not beneficial, because then we will never know him. It's just we have to understand or feel that it's his love, because even in these things, I think the next step of maturity in spiritual path is that we just feel his love, even when we are going through all this. So, when once he also said, whatever you set yourself in the deepness of your heart can become an amrit or it can become a poison. So if we say in the deepness of our heart, if we say about him, you're putting me through process again, it does not build any loving relationship towards him, but it builds resentment. And this is where we become distance. This is where we distance from him. So I just want to conclude with one of his also tweet. Sorry, it's just that his tweets are really like, if you don't read it, it's amazing. It's like Abhangas. So he also said how to be with him. Like when we are, he gave clear instructions what to do when we feel down or when we going through some stuff. And he says, in the times when life seems to be more difficult than bearing, just close your eyes and let the lotus feet of the Guru emerge from deep inside your mind. Just visualize his lotus feet and offer your thoughts, feelings, sorrow, anger, joy, pain, everything to him. Watch it all flow away and feel his love and care slowly take its place. Feel the joy of simply being with him, and everything starts to fall into place. Do this if you have to, once a day, twice a day, 100 times a day, till you really believe that you got of your feeling of distance from him and its place a sweet and beautiful joy of presence has arisen. So even when we are going through this, he said just this is clear instructions, like it's not just another tweet. Because sometimes I think we can also become a bit of dismissive, like, oh, it's another tweet, or it's another satsang, it's so much. Yeah, he gives himself in these tweets, he gives instructions, and with instructions, once we do it, the blessing is there. So if we can really do this, and I started to practice this, and it's just amazing. It's so simple. It's really simple. And his instructions are pretty simple. I think it's just our mind is complicated sometimes, so we want some big mudras and some crazy long mantras so we can chant it, but it's not this. It's easy as this. So as conclusion, I think this tweets and everything which he's doing lately is a big gift because he's revealing himself. He make himself available for all of us. He is very eager to be close to us and just not be distant, because he knows how we feel when we are distant from him. And gopis were not distant. The verse said, those narrating to one another the playful pastimes of the Krishna as he wandered about in Vrindavan forest, the gopis became fully absorbed in thoughts of him. He was not there with them. He was wandering around the forest and they were completely absorbed in him. So, and the more we can spend time with him inside, we have to understand that the more things will start to happen. And if we look at these things as something which is he's putting us through, then we create distance for ourselves and we cannot be grateful. Gratitude emerges from understanding that he's so eager to be with us much more than we with him, that he just have to do this. He's so merciful to do this. And if we see him as a process, if he seems somebody who is, as I said, transcendental being living out there, we will never really build relationship with him, because I don't think it's possible. I don't think you can build relationship with somebody because you're constantly dismissive with somebody like him, because you think, he say, I'm sad, that makes me sad. And you said, no, you're not sad. Really, I know you're not really sad. You're transcendental being above everything. Like, it's just ridiculous how dismissive this sounds. So I think that we have to actually forget all realization, enlightenment, everything, because everything comes, as he said in tweet, just from this relationship, when we can spend time with him. And that's the most valuable and the most quality time and the best time spent in our day, when we are just with him. And it's different for different people. Some are with him in seva, some are with him in japa, some are with him when they listen to him. So I think we really have to find and just build it up, because from 5 to 10 minutes it can become an hour and eventually 2 hours per day, which is this. That's what he said, that this is where he said that we will achieve everything. Jai Gurudev.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Pralada Lada Daine. Pralada Lada Daine. Pralada Lada Daine. Pralada Lada Daine. Hiranyakashi Purvakshah. Hiranyakashi Purvakshah. Hiranyakashi Purvakshah. Hiranyakashi
Jaya Pralab Mara Pralab
Gurudev, 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 Sri Vishwananda, Gurudev, Sri Vishwananda, Gurudev, 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 Sri Vishwananda, Gurudev, 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 Sri Vishwananda, Gurudev. Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala, Mangala me. Yatiraja, Ramanuja, Mangala, Mangala me. Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala, Mangala me. Yatiraja, Ramanuja, Mangala, Mangala me. Yatindraya, Karunakaraya, Yatindraya Karunakaraya Mangala Mangala me Prapartidame Karataya Mangala Mangala me Prapartidame Karataya Mangala Mangala me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala, Mangala me. Yatiraja, Ramanuja, Mangala, Mangala me. Saligrama Pratishtitaya, Mangala, Mangala me. Saligrama Pratishtitaya, Mangala, Mangala me. Tridandatarine Godagrajaya, Mangala, Mangala me. Tridandatarine Godagrajaya, Mangala, Mangala me. Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala, Mangala me. Yatiraja, Ramanuja, Mangala, Mangala me. Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala, Mangala me. Yatiraja, Ramanuja, Mangala, Mangala me. Range Sakenkaya Rataya, Mangala, Mangala me. Range Sakenkaya Rataya, Mangala, Mangala me. Mananataya Darine Daraya, Mangala, Mangala me. Mananataya Darine Daraya, Mangala, Mangala me. Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala, Mangala me. Yatiraja, Ramanuja, Mangala, Mangala me. Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala, Mangala me. Yatiraja, Ramanuja, Mangala, Mangala me. Mangala, Mangala me. Om Jai Jagadish Hare, Swami Jai Jagadish Hare. Bada Janam ke Sankata, Dasa Janam ke Sankata, Janame Dura Kare. Om Jai Jagadish Hare, Jo Jave Bala Pave, Dukha Vinase Manaka, Swami Dukha Vinase Manaka. Sukha Sampati Garave, Sukha Sampati Garave, Kashtami Te Janaka. Om Jaya Jagadish Hare. Mata Pita Tuma Mere, Sharanaga Hume Kisaki, Swami Sharanaga Hume Kisaki. Tuma Bina Ora Naduja, Tuma Bina Ora Naduja, Asaka Hume Kisaki. Om Jaya Jagadish Hare. Tuma Purana Paramatma, Tuma Antarayami, Swami Tuma Antarayami. Para Brahma Parameshwara, Para Brahma Parameshwara, Tuma Sabake Swami. Om Jaya Jagadish Hare. Tuma Karuna Ke Sagara, Tuma Palana Karata, Swami Tuma Palana Karata. Me Sevaka Tuma Swami, main sevaka tuma Swami, kripa karo Bharata. Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Tuma ho eka gochara sabake pranapati, Swami sabake pranapati. Kisa vini milondaya maya, kisa vini milondaya maya, tumako me tumadi. Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Dina Bandhu Dukha Harta, Tumara Shaka Mere, Swami Tumara Shaka Mere, Karuna Hata Badao, Karuna Hata Badao, Sharana Padadere. Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Vishaya Vikara Vidhao, Papa Haro Deva, Swami Papa Haro Deva, Shara Bhakti Padao, Shara Prema Padao, Santana Ki Seva. Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Dana Mana Dana Sabha He Tera, Swami Sabha Kucha He Tera, Swami Sabha Kucha He Tera, Tera Tujhko Arpan, Tera Tujhko Arpan, Kya Rage Mera. Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Swami Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Bhajanon ke sangata, sajanon ke sangata, charavidura kare. Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Om Mane Chankara Koji, Girari Lala Chankara Koji, Girari Lala Chankara Koji, Girari Lala Chankara Koji, Mane Chankara Koji, Girari Lala Chankara Koji, Girari Lala Chankara Koji, Girari Lala Chankara Koji. Chankara Ko, Chankara Ko, Chankara Koji. Chankara Ko, Chankara Ko, Chankara Koji. Mare Chankara Koji, Girari Lala Chankara Koji. Shamanane Chankara Koji, Girari Lala Chankara Koji. Govinda Mane Chankara Koji, Girari Lala Chankara Koji. Girari Lala Chankara Koji, Girari Lala Chankara Koji. Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva, Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva, Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Gunda. Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Prem se bolo Lakshmi Narayana Bhagavan ki Jai. Prem se bolo Sri Bhutabhrteshwarnath Bhagavan ki Jai. Prem se bolo Shri Hare Krishna Kanhaiya Lal ki Jai. Prem se bolo Bhakti Kriya Baba ji ki Jai. Prem se bolo Shri Bhutabhrteshwarnath ki Jai. Prem se bolo Sadgurudeva Sri Swami Vishwananda Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Krishnaya Govindaya Gopi Janavallabhaya Paraya Parama Purushaya Parakarma Mantra Yoga Tantra Oshirashta Sasvani Samraya Samraya Nichor Muchaya 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Mahasudarshanaya Dipti Jvala Vidaya Savane Shavanahum Fan Parishmaye Paramamane Param Jyotishe Swaha. Om Shanti 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 Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Sham Venkatamana Govinda, Govinda. Gopika Chidasmanam Govinda, Govinda. Bhakta Vatsala Govinda, Govinda. Pundalika Varade, Hari Eknath Namdev, Tukaram, Bandalinath Maharaj ki Jai, Samasta Bhakta Mandali ki Jai, Alvar Empuramanan Tiruvalikai Sharanam.